Yo, yo, what's poppin', all my peeps? It is I, your host with the most, Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, joined alongside, as always, the best of the West. You cannot forget about Sara Marshall. We are here for the Raw Rewind. And yes, it is a day later because of some unforeseen circumstances. But we're here, Sara, and how you doing?
I am ready to talk about John Cena.
John Cena.
John Cena.
He was part of the reason why we
I got
slept
my
through last night.
I
Yes.
have my Cena shirt on.
There we go.
Everything.
We love to see it. We
It's a
love
great
to
day.
see it. It's a great day. Yeah.
It was a
Oh,
great Raw.
it was so great. And being there was so awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. It was like, I don't know what it is, but every time they come to Boston, it's
Yeah.
just a banger show.
It's very rude.
It is rude in your case, I will say that. But as someone who has been fortunate enough to be at, I think every time they've came in the past like 2 years, I think this was by far the best Raw that I went to in a long time, and we're gonna talk about it. I think we just jump right in. We don't need. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you have?
We're a day late anyway.
We're a
as
day
it
late
is,
and
so.
not $1 short though.
Yeah. All right. So we got
got-
Kevin Owens versus Solo Sokoa. Jeez Louise.
There you go.
Also, I'm going to be writing an article about the top. I said 10, but I don't know if I can limit it to 10. We'll see. But the top best current WWE themes.
Oh, that's a good. Yeah.
I don't know if I can limit it to 10. We'll see. I should try because
You
like
could
that's a
get
sweet
away with
number.
15.
It's a good number, you know. But guess who's on it? KO and Solo.
Well, yeah. I mean,
So this was and it's funny because I was sitting there and my sister was rewatching the beginning of Raw because she didn't get to see it, and she's in love with Kevin Owens. So
I mean,
his music plays and I was like, okay, I'm trying to think of this list and Kevin's on there, and then Solo's music plays. I was like, how did I forget? Because I forgot Solo, but he's on my list now. So so good. I'm like, yeah, it just like makes me want to like like do physical movements in a gym, but I'm sitting on my couch, so I don't.
Oh, I bumped that shit delivering fish around Boston. It is without a doubt.
Okay. So this was just I would say, it was a typical match. It's Kevin Owens versus the Bloodline still. It ends with a disqualification by Jimmy. But here we have something interesting. Okay, so before we get into the rest of this, I had to ask or talk about this. So I saw a story recently, and of course, it's a dirt sheet story, but so you can take it for what it is or whatever. But the alleged new rumor right now is that WWE is very behind Solo, and that they want him to eventually face off against Roman. And because of that, he is undefeated. He has not been pinned. So this played very much into that because he didn't lose. He did not take a pin. It was a disqualification.
Yep.
So I thought that was very exciting and interesting because from everything that we've been seeing, it's been very much Jay versus Roman. Like if we're going to talk about anyone in the bloodline against Roman, it's always been J. So I kind of like the Solo thing because at first when I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if that's like, I don't know how they're going to go about that. How are they going to do that? But then when I was thinking, I kind of love it in a way because we know that he's the enforcer. He's the muscle. He just does whatever he's told, but he never talks. He never questions. He never talks back. So I think it would be kind of an interesting angle for them to have him turn on Roman potentially at some point because of that, because you don't know his feelings about anything that's been going on. He's going to side with his brother, like his brothers, you would assume, over his cousin. And it would be kind of cool because Roman's probably going to think that he's automatically in his corner because he hasn't said anything. So I'm like, that would make it more interesting than, the obvious potential rivalry between Jay and Roman.
there's a saying that the most dangerous man in the room is the one who says nothing.
Mhm.
And that is exactly what Solo Sokoa is. The
Yeah.
way they are building him up, the way they are portraying him and his role in the bloodline is, I would say, by far the most interesting. And I'm including, Jay, Jimmy, whatever, because he doesn't speak. When he cracks, it was because of Sammy shit. And I mean, if you didn't laugh at that,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah.
Let's cheer it up a little bit. But you now have him in a role where there are cracks, and obviously the fall of the bloodline is going to be April 1st and April 2nd weekend. Solo Sokoa is that little weird bridge piece that is going to branch off and have his own little Phoenix Rising story from the bloodline where he just goes on a tear. I mean, there's so many shades of Umaga
Yeah.
with his character, and that's the one thing I would say, circumstance being a very over heel in a way in the John Cena era.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it, the championship that you probably do deserve.
Mhm.
Solo is that guy. Solo is someone who, once the title's split or they figure whatever the fuck out they're going to do with it,
Mhm.
Solo is the guy that can carry a show. And maybe we see the wise man.
Yeah. Yeah, because maybe it's like they view him almost as like a protege, you know? Like, and
Absolutely.
I feel like, if at first thought, like I said, I wasn't sure about it, but I feel like I almost prefer that direction because as much as it was fun to see Jay versus Roman, and it would be great at least right now, people, that Boston crowd, when he decided, we'll get into there, we'll get there, but it looks like people would still be very much behind Jay versus Roman. But I would say because we've already seen it, even though it was during the Thunderdome era, but also I would hate to see a breakup of the Usos. I feel like that is the part that would be the most difficult to deal with for fans because they're just so good.
You
And you
can't break
kind
up
of,
the Usos.
yeah,
You
you
just
need
can't.
that anchor of a like legitimate tag team. So I feel like going with Solo makes more sense in that regard because he's been solo the whole time,
He's
and
his own, yeah, he's the third
he's
child. Like,
yeah, he's created his own identity outside of the Usos, and
you
so it
have to.
makes sense for him to be that. But anyway, I had to ask you about it because I've said that he's my favorite of the bloodline storyline, like as far as just like I don't know, I'm drawn to him for some reason. So I thought this was interesting to see that I guess the feeling is mutual
Oh, it's absolutely
because
mutual. I could
yeah,
give him a title, whatever title it may be.
yeah.
I'm in.
So to continue with what we were talking about, we did see, like I said, the show or the match ended with a DQ, and they started to beat up Kevin. Sorry, my cat. Um,
Remy,
Post
and she
match,
is. Get her a
Jimmy and
mic.
yeah, Jimmy and Solo were beating up Kevin after the match, and then we get a crazy ovation for Mr. Sami Zayn, who came out to save his former best friend.
Awesome.
And then they're standing in the ring just kind of looking at each other, and Kevin Owens rolls out of the ring, doesn't say anything, but they do later meet up backstage, and Sammy tries to talk to him and join up with him to be like, hey, like, we're both here trying to do the same thing. We want to take down the bloodline. It's obvious that I can't do it by myself. You can't do it by yourself. Like, we don't even have to be friends. We could just be two people with the same goal. And Owens still wants nothing to do with him. He says that he will do it on his own and told Sammy, how about you just go and apologize to Roman? Like, why don't you just go and do that? So I know that people were really disappointed with this, but I was 100% on board because we still have 3.5 weeks until Mania. We can't have Sammy and KO being totally fine yet.
No. Like,
It's too
2
early.
weeks is like I would say max.
I would love it to be the go home show.
The
Like,
go
there's
home
all
show is like,
that would be the awesome thing because you would think that nothing's happening. They're still like they're not getting along, and then the go home Raw is when Kevin Owens just like fuck it, let's do it. Like I feel like that would be,
they cross a line
and
or something,
of
and he's
course that's
like,
the show in Arizona. Of course that's the show here. But anyway, would you like that too?
I would like a week. I
Yeah.
think the go home is a little, but you could get away with it now. That's the thing. So you can get away with it now just because of how wrestling has evolved into basically the matches have already been announced without being announced,
Mm-hmm.
thanks to social media. So I'm okay with that if that is the case. But I do want at least a week of them like banter back and forth leading up, so you get to like I would say the casual fan,
Mm-hmm.
not like us who sees them like kind of bond, and you can tell by the conversation or how whatever that these guys have been doing this back and forth for some time now.
Yeah.
That's kind of that vibe you want to give off. So and it gets them ready for WrestleMania. So I'm fine. So I would like that, but yeah, this is like slowly cooked meat. It's like, oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
ready. It's like, nope, not yet.
Well, and I'm
Not
glad
yet.
that they're going in this direction too, because I think once Sammy veered away from the bloodline, it was like, okay, what's going to happen? Like, it felt like it was almost the end, and they could have easily made it fizzle out very quickly,
Mm,
and they haven't. And I think that it's because they recognized how well the storyline went for such a long period of time that they couldn't just have it fizzle, that it was still
yeah.
good enough and people were invested enough that
Hmm.
no, drag this on. Like, don't immediately be like, okay, Sammy, they built up Elimination Chamber like it was like the biography of
Oh my
Sammy's
god.
life, and like,
Well,
his
his
whole
wife
life
involved.
rested on that match.
Yeah.
So I think they've done a good job, like we said, of having us kind of forget that. But
Mhm.
the story is still evolving, and it evolves more because we getting into the main event. Jey Uso finally returns to Raw. It was Sammy versus Jimmy, and Sammy had already declared that he was going to take vengeance out on Jimmy. And Jay decided that, you know what? No, this moment's not for you, Sammy. This moment's for me. I'm gonna show up in my crop top, and he just walk through the audience. So that's what Jay did. Um, so he shows up through the crowd, and he distracted Jimmy unintentionally, intentionally, I don't know, long enough for Sammy to get the win. Then he gets in the ring, and he kind of just has like a stare down,
Really,
contemplation
yeah, face to
with
face.
Jimmy. Yeah, and then he decides that no, he's gonna get out of the ring, goes over and hugs Sammy, and everyone was like, "Woohoo, yeah!" And then 2 seconds later, super kick to the chin, and you like the crowd. For the most part, I was like, "Shout out Boston," because they
Thank
did
you.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I was
no,
I was cheering hard.
it was really, yeah, I could hear you all the way from the 303.
Good. I'm pretty
Um,
loud.
yeah, and so yeah, I heard you above everyone else. It was just like, whoa. You and Soar.
We
Um,
were going crazy.
and then yeah, so then he starts beating up Sammy and being just like, how would you ever think that I was gonna pick you over my brother? This is family shit, is what he was saying in front of a poor child looking on. It's like such a funny image because there's just like this little kid like looking over the barrier, just like watching him, and he's just like tearing him apart. And what I thought was interesting is they have Cody come out to save him.
Yeah,
So more intertwining of the bloodline and Sammy and Cody leading up to Mania. So although it might be a little confusing, and I'm assuming Cody had a dark match or something, that's just my guess. I'm not sure, because he wasn't otherwise on the show.
mm-hmm.
I do like that they had that happen because again, it's like adding more layers to even Cody's story. So,
Oh yeah.
coming in as both being the underdog, him and Sammy have that shared bond. So I, as much as from like a wrestling perspective, I was like, I know why he's out here. He's gonna probably
Yeah.
be in the dark match. I did like that element, even if people were kind of like thrown off about it.
Yeah. It was like, let me tell you, from being there and
Mm-hmm.
witnessing that main event, it was I'm not it was up there with like the war games. To be there, if that was the other thing,
Mm-hmm.
to see like war games happen and
I
be there.
forgot you were there. I forgot about that.
Yeah, unbelievable. And then to be there for when Jay turns on him. Jay
Mhm.
fully
I
it was a
know.
legit like full circle of
You
a
could not
fandom.
have gone to a better Raw.
That's
Like,
you could not.
I was texting you beforehand. I was like, we knew that it was going to be a good show because the Raws have been good. I was like, Vince McMahon is there. And then you're like, oh my God. And then I see Trish is there. So I'm like, Trish is there. And you're like, oh my God. And then you get fucking Jay. Like,
I didn't know we were
you
gonna get
got
Jay.
John Cena, and you got John Cena just
Cody
giving
Rhodes,
all of the
sort of.
love and praise to Cody Rhodes. Then you get Jay. I'm just like, this is so unfair.
It was so awesome. Like in the crowd too. And I will
So good.
continue to talk about how electric that crowd was for certain events other than this. But the main event, when Jay kicks him, it
So
was deafening. Like
yeah.
it was just like unbelievable. And I just was staring the entire time. Like I just could not believe my eyes. Like, holy shit, they're doing it now. Like this, it's happening now. Like it just like it's one of those things where it's like you've been expecting it for so long.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's gonna come. It'll be here.
I got tricked for like half a second.
Well, when they look, they like that was the thing. When he comes out, everyone looks.
Yeah.
And I'm so dead focused on this match.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's everyone looking? And then I just hear a guy next to me or behind, like, go, oh my God, it's Jay. And I'm like,
yeah. You're like, where? Where? Yeah.
Let's go.
See, and like, when he came out and they were, because that whole situation with him and Jimmy in the ring went on for a while. At least it felt like it.
It went on a little too long.
Yeah, I felt like it too, especially because Jimmy's little titty was out, and he was just like, "Yeah, that's just me."
Jimmy." Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah,
it felt like it went on a little long, but because of how long that went on, and the fact of like all of what he did outside the ring, I was like, "Oh my God, is he really going with Sammy?" Because we had talked about if anyone was going to turn on the bloodline with Sammy, that it seemed like Jay was going to be that one, and because of his absence over the last couple weeks, it felt like a build up to possibly being that he was actually going to join Sammy. So even though it didn't make sense, because obviously our Mania prediction was that the Usos are going to be versus Sammy and KO at Mania. So obviously with that in mind, it's like, no, this is not going to happen. But for a split second, I was like, oh my God, he's team Sammy. And then 2 seconds later, I'm like, you're an idiot. Like I got sweet chin music. I got super kicked in the chin.
We all did. That was the point. It was symbolic. Everyone thinks that it's like going to happen. And then super kick's like, no, we super kicked you all. You knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah. So very good episode. And see, this is the thing that's great too. So they're part of the bloodline, and the bloodline storyline has been great. But what's really good about it is we had this awesome moment between Cody and Roman last week, and Roman was due for a moment like that we all were like, hats off to you, Roman. That was great.
Yeah.
The Usos are fucking carrying this though. Like, this and like ever since Sammy joined, it's been very much like Sammy and the Usos carrying it the whole time. And I mean, obviously Roman's had his moments, but like, it's just like, this is so good. And this is something that's been happening consistently with the Usos and Sammy. It's not something that's been happening consistently with Roman. So I'm like, I'm so excited. Like that was a Raw that I feel I could watch again. And I kind of did watch some of it again.
I rewatched it.
But since you went, I always did that too. When I would go to a show, especially.
I was going to ask you that. I was actually thinking about like, do you rewatch? Because I usually don't, but this was such a like good one.
Well, the narcissistic side of me would love to rewatch it, because when I would sit front row, I always wanted to see how much I was on camera.
That's just human nature.
Yeah,
everyone wants to see yourself on TV.
Yeah, well, because I also don't. I'm not one of those people that's like, I'm on camera. And
no,
like doing like the craziest things. It's just like,
moment.
When you're sitting front row and you're on camera all night long, I'm always just curious, like, oh, how much can you actually see me?
No, I get that. Absolutely. Curiosity.
But I would always rewatch it. SmackDown was always easy to rewatch, because the last time I went to a SmackDown was when it was still taped on Tuesdays, shown on Thursdays or Fridays. So
there you go.
I would always watch that. But I always felt like, I feel like this with concerts too, but do you ever feel like you have that like post-show depression? Like your like adrenaline and your high from the show like comes down as you're going home and stuff, and you're just like so depressed because it's over.
Oh, I got that like when I was sitting here actually in the spot when I was, winding down. I'm like, I was so hyped up, and I'm just like recounting it in my head, like,
yeah,
like this happened and then this happened, and it's like,
did you record it?
So I have a TV that records every episode,
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah, because I was like, I would try to record the episodes that I was on too, but
I did take videos. I took a
oh, good.
video
I
of.
know you forgot to FaceTime me for John Cena, which was very rude, but
I
that's okay.
I got the video to send to you so that you had that.
It's okay. I just knew. I was like, I said to my sister, I was like, he's probably gonna be too busy marking out the entire
I
time.
was marked out
I
so
know.
bad. I
It's
had to
funny
get that was
because
the thing. I had to get this hat. So the great thing they do now is that you can clip like they have the QR code on the big screen.
uh-huh.
So then you just click the QR code with your phone and then order whatever you want, like at the store,
Oh
and then you go
wow.
pick it
Okay.
up
Oh
instead of
wow.
waiting in that
You
bullshit
pick it
line.
up?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's cool. Because then you also
So
don't have to wait in line to be like, hey, is this like Cody
there it
autograph thing
is.
still there? Like that's
Yeah.
cool.
So that's what
Wow.
I did. I was like, I'm not waiting in these lines because I only want
Oh
this, and they
yeah.
got me. I wasn't gonna get this, but I was like, if there isn't a shirt that describes Patty Pitts more,
Boston, Austin. No, that's perfect. Yeah.
you
I
got
don't
it.
blame you.
So,
I don't blame you.
but the funniest thing, so actually, this is like to tell you the innocence of my guest of honor, science guy, Sorvora.
Mm-hmm.
I actually call him the doctor of patriotonomics, which
Okay.
is hilarious. But he is so just like green to
Mm-hmm.
the wrestling industry and all that when it says Austin 316 because I it came up before. He was like, "So what does that mean?" And I was like, "Oh." It's so like it's questions like that that
Yeah.
like he's not he's genuinely asking cuz he's interested and is like, "Oh, that's a big moment like what's that?" Or he asked me right at the beginning of the KO solo match. He asked me like uh, how does Raw work? So how does this work? And I was like, all right, so it's gonna be like a match. There'll be a couple backstage segments you'll see on the big screen. You might have the guy come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I explained like it was so interesting. Like
Yeah.
it was a different experience going to a show because I'm usually with a friend that's either just there for like the DraftKings, like he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
Uh, so I get to pretty much just experience it on my own. But this
Mm-hmm.
was like, teacher to student. It was really cool. It was really cool.
He messaged me on Twitter.
Did he?
Yeah, he was like, "This Raw is popping off. What the fuck?" and then and then I was like, "It's been great so far." I was like, "A super fun show for your first show." And he said, I found our next left tackle and his name is Omos."
Oh my god, dude, he was obsessed with Omos.
I love Omos too, so I don't
That's
blame him, but
incredible. Yeah, I would.
yeah, no, I can't get over like who he is as a real person. I just can't. Like the lines are not blurred for me. It's like,
No.
no, he's a really great guy. He's just pretending, like that's me. Anyway, let's move on to a more fun moment, which we talked about this a couple weeks ago when they first interacted, but Carmella and Chelsea Green look like they are going to be a new tag team, and I am here for it. Are you here for it?
I am.
Okay.
I really am. And it just makes sense. There's just things in wrestling right now that and not even right now, just things in wrestling that you see them on their own and it's like, what if they join forces? Or what if they
Mm-hmm.
did a match together or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's like it's exactly what you expected.
Yeah.
That is this. And I'm so happy that they're capitalizing on it because this is a good way to bring her up to WWE speed of like not the wrestling style, obviously. I'm saying like, all right, this is how people know who she is, so then she can win a title, or then she can do this.
Yeah.
Like, to recognize you with that name, who also is kind of putting you over in a sense, like that's huge. And I'm glad it's
and
Carmella of all people.
it would be great for them to be an actual tag team. There's
Oh
not
yeah,
a lot of
let them win the
female
tag
tag teams
titles.
right now. So
If they won
that
the
would
tag
be
titles, there you go.
yeah. So yeah, we've seen this kind of hinted over the last couple weeks, but we officially saw it on Monday. Carmella was being interviewed. Chelsea Green decides to interrupt, and they bond over being really into themselves and Karens, I guess. And so Carmella had a match with Bianca, which was a good match. She ended up losing to the KOD, but for a second, I thought that Carmella might have a chance because they really did a great job at making you feel like that was going to happen. And then after the end of the match, the two then attack Bianca, which was great, a great move, I think,
Makes
especially
sense,
with
and that's another thing. Makes sense. Of course, they're gonna go after Bianca. They're pissed.
yeah. And I do want to shout out Carmella's gear because I felt like this gear was top notch. I don't.
Ah, now we're complimenting Carmella's gear.
I said it. I said it on when we were watching. I said to my sister because I have it on my iPad. That's the way I can watch it live. And I was like, okay, this gear is so much more Carmella to me than what she had been wearing with the baggy pants and the thong type of thing. I was like, I know that I didn't like it, but I also didn't really feel like it was her. Like it just didn't really. I don't know. It didn't work for me. But I really liked
I
this
can
like
see that.
rhinestoned two-piece thing.
Mhm.
And so as they're beating up Bianca, Asuka comes out and she decides to spray that blue mist in poor little Chelsea Green's face. And then
Poor pretty
her
face.
and Bianca just kind of like stare and smile at each other. Another moment that felt too long in real time. It just felt like it went a little too long. But I have to ask your opinion. What do you think is going on with this? What are they trying to do with Asuka and Bianca? Because we know that they're facing off at Mania. Neither of them are heels. Both of them are very loved.
And that's what
So
it is. It's
and
exactly
that's
what it
the
is.
and before I let you get into yours because of course that's what I do.
Yeah, go off, Queen.
I I was thinking about it and I was like, okay, because we teased the idea of them possibly turning one of them heel, and we assumed it would be Asuka because it just didn't feel Bianca feels very John Cena to me, where they're not gonna ever really turn her. It almost feels like she's untouchable, that they might not ever do that. So I always, we assumed it was gonna be Asuka. But I kind of love the idea of them having this match and them just being themselves, and fans have to pick who they want to cheer for.
Right?
But they're lucky to just be able to watch a good wrestling match between two amazing women. I feel like that we don't need like this like deep storyline between them. I feel like, you know, the Rhea and Charlotte thing, we have that deep storyline that goes back a couple years. So like that's interesting. And Rhea
It's
has
planted. Seed
vastly
planted.
changed over the couple years. So that makes sense. But I kind of like that they're not forcing that in this match. What about you?
You kind of can't. That's the thing. You can't force it in this
Mm-hmm.
match because they're so over in
Yeah.
their own right.
Mm-hmm.
And like, let's face it, there hasn't been a feud, I would say, like this that's just they're over and that's
Yeah.
it. And it's best woman win in this case. If there's going to be a heel turn by Bianca, it wouldn't be till like after Mania, or even like a couple months later if she gets some time off,
Mm-hmm.
because you want to make this match like I'll put it in the sense of like the first John Cena Batista match, where
Mm-hmm.
that was just a SummerSlam. They were some Hollywood movie thing similar to this, where
Yep.
they're just like it's the biggest stars, and right now these two women are the biggest stars on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just have them fight? And I'm for it. That's all. And sometimes that's all you need in wrestling. And in the weird miss stuff, and to other people, it's the not touching. Okay, it's the
Yeah.
not going at it. It's this like you know who I am. I do my thing, and then you do yours. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we see like I don't know, some tag match with them, and
Mm-hmm.
then they both do their own thing, and then Asuka goes to the mist, but then she fakes it, and then she does it at Mania. Like that type of thing where you're gonna see a lot of slowly built tension that gets released at WrestleMania.
Yeah. I like that it just feels organic right now.
It's
Like
a good word.
they're not trying to force anything because it was like, you know, different from Rhea. She won the Royal Rumble, and obviously that everything is planned, but like that makes sense for her to have chosen Charlotte, even if we were kind of questioning it because they're on separate shows. But Asuka won the Elimination Chamber, and there really wasn't anyone in that match that particularly had beef with Bianca. So, I mean, things would be different if someone else had won, obviously. But I like that, it's like, no, Asuka won because she was the best woman in that match and she deserved to be at Mania. And this is just what they're doing. I actually liked it, as confusing as it kind of feels.
No, I'm into it. I'm
yeah.
into it. I see the I'm trusting the process.
Yes.
Still
So
for my Philadelphians.
yes. So yeah, I did enjoy that very much. And the other thing I enjoyed for a little bit anyway was Seth Rollins and Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Facing off. So I was wondering how this was going to go down, and then when they came back from commercial and Miz was in the ring, I was like, oh, okay, so we're doing like kind of like a mini Miz TV.
It was a weird Miz TV. I thought I was like,
without all of the fixins, without like the TVs and whatever. So I was like, okay. So I wrote about this for my first article at the Daily DDT. So if you guys want to check it out, I'll make sure to include it in the description or something. But I talked about how I feel Seth deserves a better Mania opponent than Logan Paul, and I'm going to stick by that. But we kind of were saying that they were trying to force Logan to be the heel because he gets the natural heat, obviously, just because people can't, he's the outsider. So he already has a persona outside of WWE. And so it was like, okay, what are they going to do? So this was obvious. They're clearly going for the cheap heat with Logan, which is just basically building off of what people say about him and why people hate him as a person outside of WWE. Obviously, just amplifying that. So I was like, okay, that's fine, because he plays it very believably. I do think that part of it is obviously kind of true given his controversial past, but I'm all for it. And I love that they're having Rollins do the, like, we don't like you because you're an outsider, you're a piece of shit. But this is actually what Rollins said. I have the quote. He said that fans hate him because he is the scum of the earth, a coward, a troll, a fraud, and a human dumpster fire. So I was like, yes, king. Yes, king.
He's not wrong.
I know. So he said he wanted to fight Paul tonight. And then, of course, Logan's like, I don't fight for free. So I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, just, much as I hate it, I've accepted that they're facing off, obviously, for weeks now. I've accepted it. But I am kind of okay with this direction that they're taking Logan, because I feel like it's the only thing that would have made sense. Like, they couldn't try to force him to be something that he's not. So he challenges Rollins to a Mania match, and Rollins accepts. He then super kicks The Miz, and then Logan Paul knocks out Rollins and says that when he wakes up, he will let him know about the Mania match, and then uses Rollins' line of "bye-bye, bitch." And I was like, you didn't even say it right. You didn't even say it right, Logan.
If you're gonna say it right, all right,
like bye-bye, bitch. And I was like, that's not how he said it. He was like, bye-bye, bitch. I'm like, you have to say it right. So how did you feel?
Pretty much everything you said about Logan Paul, and I agree with, in a sense. So I'm not gonna go into that. I want to talk about here being in the crowd for this segment, because Sarah, there's few things that you watch on television that you're like, I want to be a part of that for the crowd element. And being part of Seth Rollins' entrance into the beginning of that segment, it was like, I would say the equivalent of like a wrestling out of body experience. Like, to be part of that crowd chanting the
for a long time too, even before it started.
I have it recorded. So I'm a sicko who knew that they were going to do, like, they were going to chant over into the set, whatever. So I went, I want to see how long this goes. So I recorded it, and they did that for like 2 minutes. After,
right when Seth's music started, everyone started. That part hadn't even started in his song yet.
It's the one thing about Boston, is that we don't know how to do things on rhythm. So when he comes out and they're still like building up to the Like you have just people going, oh,
Yeah. They're like, I'm just excited.
I was so just I don't know what it is in me, but I was wanting to turn and be like, it's not there yet.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Taking too many music classes. Wait on the beat. Like, so I can't, Sarah. Like, there's. I think I would put this in the echelon of being there for a Paul Heyman promo, being there for a Bray Wyatt entrance,
Mm-hmm.
and I still haven't and never will, which is so sad. I don't think I was ever there for an Undertaker one. So
Me
that's sad.
neither. Yeah.
Seeing DX live, they just like there's those moments where the big stars come out, whatever, and they do something. Biggie cashing in, I think, is another moment like that. Like you'll always remember that, and
Yeah.
to be part of that crowd chanting and just be like, and this was when Soar was just so confused, like
Yeah, because he's like, what is everyone doing?
why are we doing this? And the fact that it took Miz and Logan Paul to say something, and they weren't having it.
Yeah.
No one cared what they had to say, and they turned down. And this how this was. I watched when I watched it back. They turned down the crowd volume on the
Oh,
TV.
really?
It was Sarah. When I say it was deafening, like it was deafening for about 2 minutes after the entrance and 2 minutes after the O's actually started in the song. It
Wow.
like unbelievable. Seth Rollins is so fucking over. It's unbelievable.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Oh
I
my
was
God.
so excited because I'm a Seth girl, so I was like, "Yes, King!" I was very
Thor
excited.
said he's a big Seth Rollins guy.
Sore is.
He's like, I like this Seth Rollins guy. I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
you
good.
do.
We're like, we're gonna force you to like the good ones. So
Yeah,
if he came up to us and said, "Who I don't know who's a bad one that we don't like,"
I'm a Baron Corbin guy. No, you're not.
I'd be like, "What the no,
No one's
nope."
a Baron Corbin guy.
We'd abandon him. But speaking of Baron Corbin, are the Maximum Male models actually entertaining? First of all, I want to say, yeah, they actually were making me laugh.
Yeah.
Like, what's the taller one's name? Is that Masse?
I could not tell you their names.
Oh my gosh, I have to look at the
I just
roster
know
now.
Maxine.
Yeah, now I have to check to see what the
You gotta
roster
check
is.
them. Yeah, but they are.
Mansois, or Masse. He was the one that was making me laugh. Huh? Mansois.
Mansois. Oh, is that the one with he was doing the faces?
I don't know. I'm looking. That's why I said I know their names. I just don't know which one is which. I'm looking at the WWE roster. Let's see. I love that they have this page. Oh, look, it's Elton Prince. I'm actually like super obsessed with Kit Wilson right now, though, for being honest. Let's see. Okay, we're at the M's. Masse. It's Masse.
It must say.
Masse. His face, and then when he was like, ew, like he was so disgusted about Baron. I was like, me at home every time Baron Corbin shows up on the screen.
Ew.
But yeah, he was so disgusted. And I love how they're like doing their makeup too. Like they have like random jewels and stuff. I'm like, you guys are amazing.
Incredible.
So like the gimmick originally was really dumb, but I feel like that was because they were trying to make it a real thing.
Yeah.
And I think they were trying to make it too realistic. And I think now it is kind of teetering between being a gimmick but being real, but they have so much more comedic factor to it that I think that is what makes it much more tolerable and digestible to people. And I think that they're actually really entertaining, and whatever they're doing right now with Otis, I'm all for it. Otis?
There's just some things in wrestling that don't need to be serious and are actually you need to have a comic relief.
Mm-hmm.
They are that, and it's okay to be in that role. I mean, look at the Fashion Police. That was the funniest thing on SmackDown for like a year and a half.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I understand Vince isn't going to be behind everybody, but like Fandango, like he was so over. Like, why didn't you take advantage of the fact that
Jericho at WrestleMania?
Yeah, and that's the thing is like he wasn't a bad wrestler, but you didn't really get a chance. And it's funny because I was like a big fan of Johnny Curtis when he was in NXT because I think he was from New England. I want to say he was from
Is
New
Johnny
England.
Curtis Fandango?
Yeah, that was his
Yeah,
original name.
he is from Maine.
Yeah.
He wrestles in
So
Limitless.
yeah, so I was like,
I gotta
oh, I
send you
know.
those matches.
Is he still Dirty Dango? He's Dirty
Yeah, he's a
Dango.
dick. I don't like him now because he fought
Oh,
against my favorite tag team up there, the Main Street Posse,
yeah.
and like turned on them. But he
Oh,
did
so you're saying
bring.
character-wise he's a dick?
Ooh, he's kind of dick in general, I think. No,
Oh,
I
okay.
take it back. I think his character is just the dick. I'm
We
not gonna
met
talk
him
about his person
we
because I
met
have
him
no
the
clue.
same night that we met Vince McMahon and
You mean all the
Derek
stuff.
Bateman when he was still Derek Bateman at the hotel because we happened to be staying at the same hotel. And that was when he was still Johnny Curtis, but my friend only got to get a picture with him, so I don't know much about him. But in with all of this Maxwell male model stuff, we saw that Maxine was like, "Oh my god!" Like basically, like he is beauty, he is grace, he is Otis.
It was,
And
yeah.
Baron Corbin thought that it was about him, which this is the only time that I've actually been entertained by Baron Corbin. And we've been talking about him for the last several weeks. And this was the only time where I was like, okay, this is funny, just because of, oh, thanks, guys. It's like so great. Thank you so much for like, and they were just like, "Oh, you're disgusting." And I was like, okay, does this mean that we are getting the return of Sad Corbin? Because they said, oh, we'll consider you to join the Maximum Male Models if you can take out the short, ugly one, aka Chad Gable.
Which is like
yeah. And then obviously we see that Corbin loses. But because of how he was talking to Maxine, being like, "Oh, thank you guys, it's just been so tough. Like my JBL turned on me." Like I'm like, they're trying to bring him back to Sad Corbin. I'm for it because that people loved him at that point. And I feel like we've talked about how we felt that they were basically trying to give him this one last chance to do something before I guess they just didn't try anymore. And this feels like what it really is. Like everything that's led up to this point, I think, is why they were doing it because they wanted to try and bring back Sad Corbin.
It's just there's like he's very good in the ring, and I you got to speak on that. Like he is very good. Problem is that like he just the fans like just no one can get over on like I mean even me included. I just not in on Baron Corbin.
I think part of it is just that like he doesn't like reel you in. Like he's not like
he's just a guy.
He's not like he's not super charismatic. Like he's not you're not drawn to him naturally the way that some other people, like even if you don't really care about their character or whatever, like they can still kind of draw you in. So I think that's kind of the issue with him. It's just like there's not a whole lot of personality there that I don't know how to describe it, but I just feels like it's just not a natural thing for him because I think some people are like they're really good in the ring or they're really good on the mic, but it's just like they still just get no reaction. And it's like it kind of doesn't matter how pretty you make them, how you repackage them, but they can't get over. So I will be interested to see. I would love to see him grow his hair again. That is like dedication. The fact he walked around with his head looking like that when he was Sad Corbin with his like receding hairline like all the way back here, dedicated to the craft. Okay, because that wasn't just for being on Raw. That was how he lived his everyday life.
He's lived the gimmick.
Yeah. So in other news, before we get to the best part of Raw, they announced the King and Queen of the Ring, which is going to be on May 27th in Saudi Arabia. So they are very dedicated to things outside of the US and things in Saudi Arabia, apparently. And then today announced that Backlash will be taking place in Puerto Rico on May 6th, and it will be hosted by Bad Bunny.
Booker T.
I am very excited about this. And I feel like my one friend who watched wrestling when she was little, she's one of those, I watched it when I was a kid. She's obsessed with Bad Bunny, and I'd be like, maybe you should watch this pay-per-view just because it's Bad Bunny.
Maybe this will get her back into it.
So Backlash is exciting because we know it's the first show after Mania, so that's where they're going to wrap things up. But King and Queen of the Ring, I am very excited.
and I want your thoughts on this because I saw this on Twitter that
Mm-hmm.
the next three premium live events
Mm-hmm.
for WWE, they're outside of the US.
Yeah.
This interests me because it's very smart on Triple H's part. It's very smart because now what you're doing is you're taking your NXT global idea and you're planting the seeds with it. Okay, you're going to these different places to see if this is worth putting, an NXT there, but
Mm.
also that other cream of crop of fans that you're going to get. You're going to
Yeah.
get crowds. You're going to get more engaging fans, and it's just another giant middle finger to all the other wrestling companies that we can go literally global to these shows and sell out arenas.
They could go to Antarctica, you know?
I would
Like,
find. I'd ask. I'd
yeah.
ask about going.
I mean, they could literally, yeah, go anywhere. And I think it is cool because, I mean, one of the best pay-per-views in the last year was Clash at the Castle. And it's like a lot of that was because of the fans. So
Be a crowd
I
for it.
love when they do shows outside of the US because they're not spoiled the way that we are, and can go to like 2 to 3 shows a year or more depending if you went out of state. Europe and other countries don't get that. And Puerto Rico, they said they haven't done a show there in like 20 years. So
Has been
that
since New Year's Revolution or Resolution, whatever it was, in '05.
yeah.
Elimination Chamber, Triple H, Batista. It was right before WrestleMania 21.
Oh, okay. So like see, like it's cool that they're gonna get it. And then of course we know Logan
Not.
Paul lives in Puerto Rico, so he's gonna probably have some sort of, let's hope that he doesn't get King of the Ring.
Do you see a connection? Do you not find that a little eerie?
What? That Triple H was
No,
what?
the same year that WrestleMania was in Hollywood, they had a pay per view in Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't following you. But yeah.
It's so,
I
and it
mean,
was it's the one, oh, that's so
it was
interesting.
probably done on purpose. It's Triple H.
Exactly. That's why. That's my mind. Ooh, the champ's mind is spinning.
Oh my god. Okay, anyway, let's get to the best part of
Yeah.
Raw, which was John Cena.
John Cena.
John Cena. Seriously, I rewatched his segment, and other than the fact that I'm gonna go over it. Other than the fact that he killed it, I was just so excited to see him on Raw again. And I know it wasn't that long ago, but like, for all the people who don't know, are you falling asleep?
No.
Oh, I thought you were like pretending to fall asleep as I was talking. I was like, that is
No.
rude. That is so
No.
rude.
I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm
So in
retweeting the
case people
show.
don't know, John Cena's my favorite. And has been basically since he debuted. So now that he's not around all the time, I get a wee bit emotional, kind of similar to how he felt when he came out. And it's just really cool. So obviously we saw when he came out, he got emotional as he was walking to the ring, and he clarified why he got emotional in a tweet saying that it feels like it could be one of the last times that he could be. And I was like, don't say that. I don't want to think about him retiring. But anyway, so before he could speak, we had Theory's music hit, and they're back and forth. I'm just, well, more so Cena. But I do like Theory because if people are also not aware, John Cena actually really was Austin Theory's favorite wrestler growing up, and is the inspiration for why he became a wrestler, and was like just a big part of his life when he was growing up because he had a rough childhood and his dad wasn't around. So sometimes people will use that as just, filler for a story, but it's actually true. And so I couldn't help but when I was watching this, even though Cena was just completely obliterating him, I was like, he has to be sitting there kind of shitting his pants, because it's like you're literally in the ring with your hero right now and he is ripping you to shit, but it's like he's only done this to top tier talent in the past. So
He knows what he's doing.
yeah, so I was like, but Theory had to have been kind of like pinch me moment, like, is this real? So Theory says, I got you a gift. We can have a match at Mania. Cena says no. And then just goes on about how he doesn't see much in theory, that he has no heart, he has no passion, he doesn't believe in himself. Fans don't care, they don't believe in you, they don't come to the shows to see you, blah blah blah. That he's just a generic kid with nothing in his heart, and says, "How about you just do us all a favor, turn around, get out of the ring, walk up and leave." And in theory says, "I'm not going anywhere, just like that bald spot on the back of your head isn't going anywhere." And I just was like dying. I started laughing so hard when he said that, because we all know about Cena's bald spot, but this is the power of John Cena, okay? Clearly he's you would think that he's trying to hide it because he's been wearing
Yeah.
a hat and
Yeah.
whatever. No, that man took his hat off, put that bald spot in the camera, and was just like, "Yeah, bro, I got it. I got this bald spot."
Starting the senior circuit.
I was like, "You are amazing." So I just thought that was so funny. And so they keep going back and forth. It was an amazing segment. Cena eventually agrees to a match at WrestleMania and says that well, before we get into what happens after that, how did you feel? Because you were in person, so you can feel the energy. But this is the first time in a very long time that I can remember Boston loving him. So that's a huge moment.
So cool. It was so cool because my first ever wrestling event, the main event, was John Cena and Edge. And
my main event was John Cena too, but it was a tag match. It was that iconic Big Show and Brock Lesnar versus, it was supposed to be Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle, but they beat up Kurt Angle backstage, so John Cena replaces him. And I was crying. I started like almost crying because I was 13 and I thought that I wasn't going to see John Cena.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's weird. So that was like both of ours. Mine was in 2004 though.
Mine was the 2006 SummerSlam.
2004 was still Basic Thugonomics.
Yes. So. Yeah, I got the hustle, loyalty, respect on a t-shirt. That was, and the cool thing about him returning and all that was that, like, it just, he's different. I mean, when he walks out and just what he does to the camera, and then going into the theory comments and whatnot and how he went about it, like that's him. Like, you know, you can tell he is he is WWE. And everything in the whole build up with Theory and Cena, and I mean, even him going, you know, to the sign. I mean, he's just, to watch a master at work. It was another unbelievable, unforgettable experience.
It was one of those things where I get when, you know, it's kind of like the end of an era for somebody. So when someone eventually ends up not retiring, but they're not around, you know, a lot of people will start to be like, oh, they appreciate what they don't have anymore. They miss what's gone. So I get that there's so many people who now cheer for him because you don't see him. You see him maybe once or twice a year. But I always want to sit there and yell at all of the people who would normally boo him and be like, guys, this is how good he's always been. I get that, you know, you want to boo somebody and he was the top guy and you felt like, oh, he's being forced on us. And but I'm like, the stuff that you're praising him for now has always been there.
Yeah.
So it's just funny because I want to be like, remember the last time I was at a show and John Cena was there and you guys were all making fun of me because I was a John Cena fan? I just want to be like,
right.
Who you cheering for now on Raw? You're cheering for my man, John Cena.
It was it was incredible. And the whole promo, and then how he did it too. I didn't think, after thinking about it, whatnot, I understand why Theory went like, oh, you're giving up on the fans. Like, of course he's not, but
no, but he knew what threads to pull. Yeah, he knew, like, and I loved that too, because although it very much plays into the traditional way of a heel, you know, and how they try to like convince you of doing something that you wouldn't want to do, but that's what they want. This was very authentic because Cena is so much about the fans that going for that might seem like, you know, low-hanging fruit to somebody else, but it was like, no, it seems much more believable because he shot him down very quickly immediately when he was like, yeah, I'm not gonna fight you. But this
No,
was like,
all about it.
okay, well, now that you brought them into it, like he can't say no, because then that's disappointing them. It's not just disappointing to Theory. It's like, no, now you're letting fans down. So I loved that. I think this, I don't know. I just kept putting myself in Theory's shoes. That's just something I couldn't like not think about, just like standing there and having your childhood hero like rip you to shreds, but like thanking him for it,
Yeah,
because there's been times, I mean, even in recent history, he did it to AJ Styles. Like, are we really going to say anything about AJ Styles? No, because Cena was the top guy. AJ Styles is a top guy. So to me, people might be like, oh, he buried him, whatever. No, this was him building him up, giving him his approval, and
yeah,
obviously we know that Theory's going to win at Mania.
exactly.
So, and then we might even see him raise his arm or something to like give him like,
Yeah, they're gonna
okay,
build this up, or
yeah, well, because he said even if you win, you lose. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something to make that Cena kind of tries to smooth that over with the fans, to be like, even though I did say this, no, like he's legit,
yeah,
he's the
you
real
got to do it.
deal.
Yeah, the night after Mania, it'll be like,
Yeah.
you gave me a hell of a fight. Like you're it, like something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So then before Cena left, he's walking up to the ramp. I know, I was in my feels. And he says, Austin, you are not ready for the big stage, but I know who is. And he introduces Cody Rhodes. And Cody comes out and they hug for a while. And Cody only revealed a little snippet of what he said to him, which I love, because you can tell Cena didn't want anyone to know what he said, because he even, I don't know if people didn't pay attention, but he turned the mic down so that when he was hugging him, they couldn't catch anything. It was he had it upside down, so you couldn't catch anything.
That's
I guess
that right there. That's a vet.
Yeah. So he just said reward their noise always, I think is like what he said, is just talking about the fans.
Oh yeah.
But this just made me, another part of me being emotional, because I might not have been a big follower or a big fan of Cody while he was out of WWE because of all his antics and stuff like that. But big fan of Cody before he left WWE, since he was like before, like around Legacy, I would start. Huh?
Before when he was Randy's understudy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when he was in Legacy with Ted DiBiase, dude, I was obsessed with Legacy. I was obsessed. Oh my gosh. But anyway, so it's still so kind of surreal to me to see where Cody's at this point, where like, even the videos that he's posting of him signing like 100 autographs and whatever before shows so that people can buy them, like that's the type of stuff that Cena used to post. So it's crazy to just see like, yeah, people actually care now and people want to see Cody. And he's mentioned multiple times that John Cena was not only like his kind of like a mentor to him, but a role model to him. And also there's videos that you can even see of Cody, or backstage, there's one of Cena singing Smoke and Mirrors. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's from like 10 plus years ago. But Cody's talked about how, yeah, and he's like, you're on these smoke and mirrors. Like he's just like singing at this ridiculously high pitch. But Cody's mentioned that Cena's been nothing but kind to him and given him advice and stuff like that. So to see that moment where, again, it was like Cena's official, like, no, this is the guy.
Yeah.
And like, even I see that, I was like, that's so cool. Like that had to have been a cool moment for Cody after we just saw a cool moment for Theory. Now we see this for Cody.
It was just a really good feel-good segment. I mean,
really was.
When Cody came out, that was another just experience too, that when his music hits, and everyone around me, like I was next to a guy who literally was just doing like clipping shit and sending it to his boys. Like they had a group chat and everything. And he was going off the entire time. Like he was even rapping A-Town Down. Like he knew every word to A-Town Down. And I was like, whoa. But when Cody Rhodes came out, there was like 3 of us in this row that were just like Giant fans. And we stood up and screamed his theme song. And every one of us said something Cody and I was like, yes, these are my peeps. It was it was incredible. It was to just belt that out, that was like going to church. It was last night was like going, or Monday night was like going to church.
Yeah.
It really was. It was incredible.
I'm still so jealous because I wish I could have gone. Because I can't remember the last time that I went to a show that was like that good. The one that speaks like that immediately comes to my mind, before having to like look back and be like, oh wait, yeah, I forgot I was there for that. The one that stands out to me is the Go Home Raw for SummerSlam 2010 when it was Team Nexus versus Team WWE.
Oh my god, that was a good one.
And I was in the 100 level, but I was like further up. And that was when it was the night that Cena and Team WWE basically announced who the members are of Team WWE. And it was, Edge, John Morrison.
Daniel Bryan wasn't announced yet, right?
No, not yet. Bret Hart, Edge. But I just remember, I don't know. I would have to try and find the video of it, but like we were all so hyped about that moment that the arena was shaking. Like the camera shook while Raw was running. And so like the camera's literally like this. So that's something that I remember, that like that moment, but that was 2010. So that was a long time ago,
yeah.
And then to cap off Raw, we have Trish Stratus finally challenges Damage Control at WrestleMania. So we were talking about this and how they were going to go about this. Was it going to be the tag titles in a match? Was it going to be 3-on-3? And it looks like right now it is going to be 3-on-3. Is that real? That's not real. That's not real. That's not real. It's not, right?
Sarah, it's gotta be. Sarah, I think it's real.
Is it real? Are you serious? Is this real? Is this real? Oh my god! Is he trying to appeal to younger women? What is
my dad?
That looks like your dad? That is your dad. Just kidding.
I mean, basically.
That is
It's so
okay,
funny.
that distracted me. I need to get back on track. Okay, so
we just hit another key roadblock.
Yeah, we didn't know if that was going to be 3-on-3 or whatever. Ended up being that yes, it will be Trish, Lita, and Becky versus Damage Control. It's gonna be a fun match. It kind of just feels like at this point it's one of those filler matches that's just like nostalgia and like fun. Like it's not like a serious, like super serious match. Obviously, I love it because Becky, Lita, and Trish are my queens. So, like, I'm not mad about that. But I have two questions from this. Are we disappointed that the tag team titles are not being defended at Mania? My quick answer, yes. What's your quick answer?
No.
Okay. And how long do you think Lita is going to be around to be tag team champion?
A month and a half after Mania.
Because, like, do you see them only defending it, like, one more time or something, and that's when they lose?
They'll get a quick title defense against, like, the next team to face Damage Control, if that makes sense. And then you'll see, like, Damage Control
Carmella and Chelsea Green.
Exactly. Like, they'll win because Trish and Lita will turn on Becky. What's going to happen is, like, they're both going to turn on Becky.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to go on, like, We're Legends, and then they'll run for, like, a couple months to build up some event, and then they're going to go away.
Are they going to lose at Mania? And that's going to spike, like, what bothered them and why they turn on Becky?
I like that idea. Because I don't know who... I think you have to have Damage Control win at Mania. And I think you have to have Bayley get the pin, too.
Yes.
And it could be a pin over Trish.
Yes.
Or Lita. Because... Or, she has to pin Becky.
Okay.
Because
pinning one of the tag champions would be a reason why they say they deserve to get a rematch for the titles because we took you down.
That's there you go. That's how you connect it.
So I'm interested to see how this develops. I was just kind of like, it's going to be fun, but it's definitely one of the matches that I'm not like, oh, I can't wait to see Mania. Like I'm not, this isn't one that I have on my list that I'm going to be thinking about for the next couple weeks, you know.
Yeah, I
But
know.
it's definitely going to be fun, and I am very excited because, you know, it's going to be a fun match. But otherwise, I felt like most of the other parts of Raw were more exciting. But WrestleMania is 3.5 weeks away, so
I'm so excited.
I know.
I cannot wait for this WrestleMania because it actually feels like one that is gonna blow my mind like last
It
year.
feels it
But
feels
better.
big. It feels big.
I
Like there's always that feeling about Mania that's like different than other pay-per-views, but I
agree.
feel this one just feels bigger because I feel like we don't know what to expect, one, because this is the first WrestleMania under Triple H, but two, there's just so much story involved in like almost every single match, and there's just so much that can come out of this show, and according to our predictions, a ton of title changes. So it's like there's a lot of big stuff that could happen, and I feel like that's kind of what's making it seem more exciting.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. I just am so excited for
Me
it.
too.
It's gonna be an
I
exciting
can't wait to see
SmackDown.
John Cena.
Like John Cena
John
at the
Cena.
showcase. We got a new commercial. I'll end the show with this because I want your thoughts on the new commercial for Mania.
Okay.
Oh, did you see it? The Ms. Maurice.
Oh yes, Top Gun. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah.
that was all right.
It was okay. I'm
Now,
not like, I mean, I don't think I loved a lot of the original ones anyway. Like they were good, but it was just kind of like a lot of them were also movies that I hadn't seen. So I was like, I kind of knew what this was, but like I think that it's more at this point the reason why people love those so much is the nostalgia factor
it's
rather than actually being like that was amazing. It was like, no,
yeah,
you love it because it was nostalgic, but when they were happening, you weren't like, I need more of these. Like you weren't.
yeah.
But
You just want the
um
nostalgia to see how far they go with it.
yeah.
I saw this at the event. I don't know if they showed this on TV, but they did like audition tapes for different movies.
Oh, I don't know. Because I was having to do a bunch of random stuff. So like
Oh, so
during
you were
on
like watching
commercials,
commercial.
yeah.
Boom.
So I
Okay.
caught I caught a little bit of the Miz and Maurice one, but because I was having to do stuff on commercial breaks,
Yeah,
I
it
didn't get to
wasn't.
see a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't that. I mean, the line, the I would say the funniest bit from that was when Miz said like Vander Goose was his
Mm,
agent calling him, and he's like, "Talk to me, Goose," and it's like, ah, there you go.
yeah,
That's how you worked it in. But
yeah,
I want to see the audition tapes get released for different ones because the people doing those were so funny.
yeah.
Those were really good. I
And
like
there's a lot of guys and girls on the roster right now that are naturally funny. So
naturally gifted. I mean,
yeah.
you can do more with Tez, and you can even
Mm-hmm.
do Sad Corbin in
Yeah.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, pretty good. But yeah, that was Raw. It was a historic one, a great one, and we got more coming. We got SmackDown on Friday, but before the SmackDown breakdown and SmackDown takes place, Sarah and I got the actual wrestling show, Pits and Sarah's wrestling show, that we will be recording tomorrow. That's what happens when you fall asleep in the middle of the day on Tuesday. It's NXT and everything. That we're gonna get back to back. And this week it's still WrestleMania. We're gonna be talking our favorite things. All right, favorite things of WrestleMania. We'll do some mini stuff, top fives and whatnot, and kind of just talk about the event in general, and not like this match and this match, just like WrestleMania in general. The stuff that are not the matches. Maybe the entrances,
Mm-hmm.
the stars that come out, all that fun stuff and more this week, along with Lemon and Rosebud and the 3 counts. Don't miss that tomorrow. Um, we'll get a time for you and tweet it out, whatnot. But in the meantime, to know when that show goes live, you got to follow us on Twitter at Pat_Pits and at SMarshXO. Then follow us on Instagram. I post Instagram stories. Sarah does too.
Very rarely, but
Pitsy35.
I try.
You post some. You posted one WWE one the other
I posted one today about Cena's bald spot.
because that was hilarious. And that's
Yes.
the type of content you're going to get if you follow us at Pitsy35 and at SMarsh_. And then Sarah's YouTube channel. All right. We're live on it now. If you're watching on Twitter, we're live on it now. And that's where you can get all our live streams plus clips from the shows. So say you don't have an hour and 9 minutes and 15 seconds to sit down and watch with us. Maybe you just want to hear about what we thought about Cena's return or Solo. what's going on with him, you can just watch the clip. Sarah's got it. We got it on her YouTube channel, Sarah Marshall XO. Go check it out. And we got some other fun videos planned. 2023 is a big year, new year.
I figured out how to do reaction videos, so I have to just now I have to. I know I just have to figure out how to edit it and stuff. But yeah, so I want to work on that.
Awesome. In the meantime, go do that. God bless. Remember that. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember, you can do it. All you got to do is try. We'll see you next time.